Hey, it's Dan Moralez, and this is Homebuyer Radio. This is episode number 82, and this week what I want to talk about is how good is your pre-approval, okay? For a lot of people out there, you go through this process and you get what you think is a mortgage pre-approval, and in some clients' cases, what they're finding out is they weren't really approved. It is more of a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval. Okay, now in a previous episode, we talked about, what's the difference between a mortgage pre-approval and a mortgage pre-qualification. Mortgage pre-qualification is typically just your lender giving you an opinion on whether or not they think they can actually get a mortgage for you, okay? For the most part, they may ask you some questions, about your income, assets, good stuff like that, and they may actually even pull a copy of your credit report. But all they're going to do is typically give you, their opinion on whether or not they think they can actually get a mortgage for you. A lot of times, a lender will still probably even run your loan through an automated scorecard to make sure that it would go through the scorecard. The problem with that kind of pre-qualification is they didn't verify any of the information that you provided, okay? And that's where, pre-qualification kind of goes sideways, right? I think of Ronald Reagan, the old, our past president, Ronald Reagan, who he used to say, trust but verify, right? So we trust that the information you're giving us is correct, but as part of a legitimate pre-approval process, we're going to verify your information. We're going to verify your income. We're going to verify your assets. We're going to verify, all of your financial details so that we can make sure that when we give you a legitimate pre-approval, that you do have a legitimate pre-approval, right? That, subject to an appraisal on the property, and stuff that's related to the property, that you have an approval that is rock solid and good to go versus just my opinion, right? So, I have a lot of, real estate agents and people who are friends of mine that are in the industry. And, I follow some of those people on Facebook, and I recently saw a post from a realtor who said, hey, I really appreciate working, with this lender. I needed a pre-approval for my clients on a Saturday night, and, she got them pre-approved at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Well, let me tell you, you're not pre-approved, okay? If you were that client that got quote-unquote pre-approved at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night over the phone, you're not pre-approved, you're pre-qualified, okay? Pre-approved is where we actually verify income, we verify your assets, we verify all those details and actually have an underwriter take a quick look at it to make sure everything is in line with where it needs to be. Okay, that's not going to happen on a Saturday night over the course of, a 25, 30-minute conversation on the phone, okay? What you got was pre-qualified. And hopefully you got pre-qualified by a lender that at least knows what they're doing, knew what questions to ask. But even at that, you still didn't have your income verified, okay, at a bare minimum to make sure you actually have enough income to qualify for the loan, but that your income is such that it's acceptable, okay? Because you can have clients who have sources of income that come in, but they may not necessarily meet the requirements for being able to get a mortgage, right? So, if you've gone through this process and you are pre-approved, okay, you got a pre-approval, but they haven't verified any of your income, any of your assets, any of the financial details of your would-be purchase, you're not pre-approved, okay? At best, you have a pre-qualification, not a pre-approval. And if you want to buy a house, you're going to want to make sure you have a pre-approval, okay? So let me give you a real-life example, okay? Just had a client who came to us. We got his transaction this past Monday, okay? We got his transaction. He had been in process with another mortgage lender for about 30-something days, okay? Had to close on this house, made a deal with the builder, had to close on this house, had to have a place to take his family, right? Well, so the other lender is like, hey, no problem, we got you, you're good to go, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, they didn't have him. He wasn't good to go. At the last second, like 2 days before he needed to close, the lender came back to him and said, hey, you're not good. We can't even do your loan. You're rejected, okay? Now, the problem this client had is he had a $40,000 non-refundable deposit that he made with the builder so he could get into the house, right? So here's $40,000 that this gentleman stood to lose if he didn't close by this coming week, right? Now, fortunately for him, through a series of circumstances, he actually got to us, right? He got to us where we were able to assist him, get him approved and closed by the hair of our chinny chin chin in time to be able to preserve his $40,000 that he stood to lose. Now, it helped that the builder he was working with was somebody I've worked with in the past, so they know me, they trust me, they know I'm going to get it done. But had he not gotten to us, that transaction likely would not have closed, and he could have lost $40,000. Okay, could that be you? Right? Are you working with somebody who maybe hasn't done their homework, hasn't gone through the details to make sure that you're truly qualified and truly pre-approved? It's possible, right? In the last probably, I'd say, week and a half, 2 weeks, I have had probably 10 clients that I've taken as new transactions where they started someplace else where they were quote-unquote pre-approved, and they're not. Okay, I've got one in particular that entered into a contract, and he was told he was pre-approved. Of course, the lender finally told him he wasn't approved. He got to us, and guess what? He's not approved. He had no business writing an offer on a house. So if you are out there and you're looking for a mortgage, please work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, and maybe that will be next week's episode. We'll talk about how do you really vet the experience of the person you're working with, as opposed to just going with whoever you find, right? So my name is Dan Moralez. I'm with Northpointe Bank. I'm a mortgage loan officer. You can reach me at 616-931-4629. Again, 616-931-4629. You can find me on the web at danmoralez.com. That's DANMORALEZ.com. And of course, Northpointe Bank is an equal housing lender. My NMLS number is 709729. Hey, do me a favor. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review on iTunes. Share it. If the content here is great, would you do me a favor? Go through and please share it with your friends and family who could benefit from it. Hey, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.